their live shows were really hit or miss, and I think that it's really hard when a band has become so successful and so powerful. All the stories become apocryphal. The story all becomes, they were fantastic the first time I saw them, I knew they were genius. And anybody that tells that story is probably making it up, because there were very few people in the Seattle music scene that thought they were great live. I've always thought they were better on record. Their live shows, at least early on. Later on, they became a better live band than they were on record, I think.
The natural progression for any band wanting to break out of Aberdeen at the time was to base themselves in the nearby town of Olympia. Kurt had visited Olympia during 1987 while acting as an unpaid roadie for the Melvins. At the time, it was a hip college town with a reputation for being a hotbed of artists, freaks and underground musicians. Kurt was keen to move in straight away. It was another friend of the band, Slim Moon, who recognised their combined talent and arranged for their first gig in Olympia, becoming an ardent follower of the band.
I've seen a lot of great Nirvana shows, and the one that stands out for me was a show on Halloween one year. They just really went all out and just smashed the crap out of their guitars, and just really, it just felt so explosive. After they had played such a great, just really awesome, powerful music, and then they just like went crazy at the end.
It was also about the time that Nirvana played at Chaos. That's the little college radio there at Evergreen State College in Olympia. That show was important because a lot of bootlegs were made. It was virtually the first recorded Nirvana ever made, other than the recording that I have of the Raymond show. That recording made the rounds and set the stage for what would later be the buzz.
The band continued to play at parties and small venues in the Olympia area. During this time, however, their drummer, Aaron Burkhart, dropped out, leaving Kurt and Chris with the thankless task of finding a replacement. But the duo managed to persuade Dale Crover from the Melvins to fill in temporarily, and in January 1988 drove up to Reciprocal Studios in Seattle to record their first demo tracks. The big break had come after a phone call from Kurt to local rock legend producer Jack Endino. Having been impressed by the chemistry formed by Kurt, Chris and the already well-respected Melvins drummer, Endino agreed to record the band for a minuscule fee. This resulted in the first tracks being recorded for the future Nirvana album, Bleach.
I just got a phone call from a guy named Kurt from Aberdeen who said he was a friend of the Melvins and he wanted to come up and record, and he would have Dale from the Melvins playing drums with him. And since I held Dale's drumming in very high regard, I said, yeah, come on up, let's do it. How much money do you want to spend? How much time do you want to book? And he said, well, we've only got, a few $100s. We just have time for one afternoon. And we're just going to record some songs and just mix them right on the spot as fast as we can. And, you make a tape, get some shows with it or whatever. And he said, well, we don't really have a name yet. We're still looking for a permanent drummer. I said, well, whatever, come on up. So, and that led to the first Nirvana studio session, which was January 23rd of 1988. Chris and Kurt had this sort of chemistry going where they just complemented each other very well. It just seemed like a very strong, if young band. And something about Kurt's voice really appealed to me. I thought he had a very good rock scream, kind of a raw, throaty sort of. It was a very enjoyable session. I just liked it. I thought it was good. I thought they had some good riffs, some good rock songs. Kurt would come up with the song, and Chris would come up with the bass line that would sort of get that sound, that very distinct, big, simple, to the point, no beating around the bush bass line that he would come up with.
Things will be alright. Things will be okay. Yeah, the rest of the night.
Well, I think that Bleach, for the most part, is very much an album about Kurt's circumstances at the time. You know, he's writing a lot of songs on that record that he'd been working on for several years, so they're kind of his early sketchings. In my opinion, there are a lot of songs on that record that aren't as successful lyrically, because I think Kurt was so indebted to some of these lyrics that he'd crafted that he didn't feel like changing them a lot, you know.
About a Girl was kind of the odd song, because it's sort of the melodic pop tune, if you will, and it sort of stuck out. And Kurt said, you know, I don't know if people will be ready for this song, but I really want to do one pop song on this record. So, and I said, hey, you know, I'm just the engineer here, you know, whatever, I'll make it sound good, you go ahead.
Again, for me, About a Girl, which is such a simple song, it's essentially about his girlfriend at the time. And he said, according to some of the friends that I interviewed of his, that he had listened to the Beatles all day prior to writing that song. And I think it very much sounds like a Beatles song in terms of melody to me. But the idea that he could write such a simple song, you know, I Can See You Anytime for Free, you know, I mean, it's a beautiful melody idea. I think with that song, that was somewhat of a breakthrough for Kurt, because it was simplicity. Prior to that, I think he was trying to write almost too complicated punk and rock songs.
They were able to afford one reel of half-inch tape, which was 8-track tape. It was about 33 minutes worth. And they basically just filled up the tape with songs, which wound up being about 9.5 songs. And then once the tape had run out, they said, okay, that's it. Let's do the vocals now. So then they went back over the tape, and he sang all the vocals in one take. And then we mixed it. And I said, well, do you mind if I give your tape to some people? Because I thought it was really good. And I thought some friends of mine would really enjoy hearing this. So, you know, they said, oh, fine, because we're just going to give cassettes out to people, too. We need to, you know, we want people to know about us. So I gave some tapes to people, and one of them got to John Poneman at Sub Pop. There's a reason why it doesn't say produced by Jack and Dino on the record. Because really, I just engineered it. I mean, it was sort of produced by everybody. Or perhaps produced by nobody. You know, it's really almost a live document of what they were doing at the time.
I think Endino was very important to creating that sound, and partially because of the fact that he just got out of the way. You know, he didn't try to stamp his individual artistic vision on it.
You know, most of that tape we did actually wound up on the Incesticide record in its original form. I never had a chance to remix it. Of course, it says produced by Jack and Dino on it, so, you know, what it doesn't say is produced in about 3 hours. But whatever, it sounds okay, I suppose.